Initiating moisture.
I know I'm a little late to the Mob Psycho circle jerk, but better late than never. I loved One Punch Man, and season 2 of One Punch Man just started, episode 1 just came out, and it sucked some serious dog anus in my opinion. I thought the animation looked like trash. Genos is truly ruined. The fight, I'm not going to get into it. Everything about season 2 episode 1 I didn't really like, except for some of the humor, and King is a good character. I'm not here to moist meter that. I'm here to look at Mob Psycho. I figured I'd go ahead and cleanse my palate by watching the second season of Mob Psycho 100, and it did more than cleanse my palate. It gave me a full-blown erection. Mob Psycho is a visual eye orgasm. That show is absolutely beautiful, and one thing that it does well that I think a lot of other anime don't is it does humor super well. It's from the same creator of One Punch Man, and One Punch Man does humor well, so this guy's just got it down. The reason I think it works so well in Mob Psycho, the comedic elements, is because they over-animate the shit out of it in a really good way. So even like a trivial scene where Reagan's giving like a massage to a customer that he's scamming has beautiful animation and lighting to it, and it really enhances the joke. And it's a fucking great animated scene for a 3-second joke, whereas other anime has like a fucking 3-minute fight scene that looks like asshole. It's incredible what Mob Psycho does and how beautiful it is to look at, even when it is just telling you a little joke. It makes it absolutely beautiful to look at, even if you don't like the joke. And there's a lot to be respected there. I think comedy in most anime sucks, but here and in One Punch Man, it's done very well. Mob Psycho is about a boy with psychic powers. He's a young middle schooler, and he works part-time for a con artist named Reagan. And together they exercise spirits, and Mob he starts to learn to come into a shell and, learn to really figure out who he is and how to fit in the world with this overwhelming power. In a lot of ways, he's very similar to Saitama in One Punch Man, but whereas Saitama is just an example of the end-all, be-all of what the best possible godlike power could ever look like, Mob is a much more relatable character that a lot of people will feel connected with in certain ways across his journey. Season 1 serves to show you just how fucking strong Mob is, and it does it beautifully. Watching a fight scene in this show is an absolute joy. It's as if the 1980s aesthetic but fucked a rainbow, and then you could really, like Skittles, fucking taste it. You could see it. It was an absolutely beautiful eruption of colors anytime a fight happened. From the very first episode, they really show you just what kind of show you're getting into in terms of its visual design. It's a really unique aesthetic that works super well for the show that I have not seen in anything else in the animation medium. It's fucking beautiful, is what I'm trying to say. I absolutely love Mob Psycho 100's aesthetic, and anytime there's a fight, I'm overjoyed. And there's a lot of good supporting characters around Mob, some other psychics such as Hanazawa, who also has some really cool psychic abilities and good fight moments. Now, like I said, Season 1's all about just kind of showing you how strong he is and showing you that he's very awkward and it's very clear he's being taken advantage of. Season 2 slows down the pacing, whereas it was breakneck, dick-busting, psychic fights. It kind of slows it down to make it more of a growth for Mob, where he comes into who he is. It shows you evolving and changing and really trying to figure out his place in the world and what he wants to be. He starts being more independent, and it's very cute. There's a lot more heartwarming scenes in Season 2. It's a lot more of a slice-of-life anime for most part of it, and there's nothing really wrong with that. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but to me the show's at its best when it's mixing comedy and nut-busting gorgeous action. For instance, anytime Reagan enters a fight, he has like a brand new special move that is so beautifully animated and entertaining to look at, like the fucking salt punch on a spirit, and it has like a slow, fade to like this attack screen that illustrates what the move is, how he came up with it, why he uses it, like a fucking WWE wrestler card. It's really cool. I love that shit. And when Reagan fights in the final episode of Season 1, everything there, I think, is when Mob Psycho is really doing its best work and when it's the most interesting. But I'm not trying to shit on Season 2 for going with a more humanizing route and slowing down the pacing, because it is a show where you really care for the characters and you like to see them grow. And it does have a nice, final battle segment. And they're in the middle. There's a fight with another character named Mogami, which is really beautiful as well. So really the show never loses its charm. There are some episodes that I feel are kind of weak. For example, when Reagan's getting exposed as a scam artist and shit. I didn't think all of that was really very interesting, but it always led up to a heartwarming moment or a fun payoff with a fight or something like that. Really, I don't have too many complaints about the show. So let's just go ahead and plug this shit into the Moist Meter. I'm giving Mob Psycho 100 a 90%. I do think if you like anime, it's a show you should watch. If you like anime, you've probably already seen it anyway. I'm fucking late to this one. I came in here limp-dickedly. But anyway, it's something I'd recommend. The shit's great. And you should definitely watch One Punch Man Season 1 as well. It's from the same creator of this show, but I'm sure most of you knew that as well. You fucking anime fans are damn near omniscient. But anyway, that's it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Tokyo Revengers, and this shit absolutely slaps. I wasn't even going to watch this anime initially because it didn't seem interesting to me. It just sounded boring. I had heard it pitched as middle schoolers do crime and bad shit and form a gang. And I was like, well, it's just middle schoolers. What do? Steal bubblegum from gas stations? Download an aimbot for Fortnite? Like, it doesn't sound very cool or interesting. But eventually Tiana convinced me that I should check it out, and I did, and I'm glad that I did because it is an absolute banger. So, I don't think this is a spoiler. The main focal point of the show is about the main character, Takamichi's ability to go from present day 2017 back 12 years into the past when he was a middle schooler in order to change some unfavorable things that are happening in his life and the world around him. Now, a lot of it does take place at a middle school age, but you never really get that impression because all the characters you see are like fucking adults. They drive motorcycles, they kill people, they stab people. Like, it doesn't really ever feel like they're actual middle schoolers. It just feels like they're adults who are really short. So, I don't even know why they bothered making it middle school. They could have just said, like, here's some 30-year-olds, and here they are 12 years ago when they were 18. Because that's really what it feels like. Like, middle school is never, like, an important thing here at all. I don't even recall if anyone's parents ever get mentioned. You only see them at school, like, twice. The show is about delinquents forming a gang and gangs going to war. And they're using, like, fucking knives, bombs, guns, stabbings, and shit. Like, it's not, like, just middle schoolers, like, using a slingshot shooting rocks at someone. Which is exactly what I expected. I thought it'd be, like, some codename Kids Next Door shit, like Weenie Hut Jr. But no, in Tokyo Revengers, they're fucking torturing people and blasting their heads off and shit. So, it being pitched as, here's middle schoolers doing crime, is kind of misleading, because it's more like, here's some fucking badass gangs going to war. I think the show is really good. I think the writing is super strong in this show. It's mainly focusing on its characters and not on its action. There is action, but when it's there, it's usually a huge, important event that changes the entire scope of where the story goes. When there is action, it's animated well, albeit not like the flashiest or the best, so don't go in here expecting like Jujutsu Kaisen levels of action. I always mention action when talking about anime because most people perceive anime to be like action-oriented shit, so I always think it's important to at least let you know that if an anime isn't all about action, just to be aware of that. When there's not a ton of like fights in here, but like I said, when there are, it's usually a big gang-related fight that really pushes the narrative forward. Again, the focal point is on its character and its world that they build, and I think they do a great job of fleshing out all the characters that they introduce here and make you care about them, whether you want them to succeed or want them to fail. That's not to say the characters are entirely unique either. Even some of my favorite characters like Mikey aren't exactly like the most special anime character ever made. He's just like this invincible badass who also has a soft side, you know? It's not unexplored things, like there are typical anime cliches in here, but I think it does a really great job of just delivering a fun story, fun characters, and making you care about them. It also does an excellent job of not overfeeding you too much information where it convolutes its plot. When you have things like time travel in a show, things get messy really quick, and I think Tokyo Revengers, it does it beautifully where when you time travel, you are locked in there and you don't have to worry about too much else going on. There's never a time where it's like you're really lost in the plot and like, oh wait, how does this all connect? Wait, the main character is actually blessed by 15 different angels if we remember back to episode 7. But then again, there's also the time vortex which occurred in episode 9, which has changed everything here, and a new character. Like, you never get to this point where it's like you don't understand what's happening. Now I want to get to a couple things I don't like too much about the show, and I don't want this to be misconstrued. I think Takamichi is a great character, but he is like the most generic anime protagonist I've seen in quite some time. Like, he falls into like every standard trope for an anime protagonist. He's constantly whining and constantly constantly crying. That's like his superpower here, is the ability to cry in every episode. There's 24 episodes in Tokyo Revengers, and I am certain he has cried at least once in every single episode. It is shocking how often he is bawling his fucking eyes out. The characters also mention this, calling him the crybaby hero. Like, but it's still grating just to constantly see him cry. And he does this standard anime protagonist shit where he has to like re-explain himself and like reaffirm that he's gonna do good things. So like in the beginning of one episode, he's like, I'm gonna save everyone. And then something happens where it's a little tough for a second. He's like, wait, I'm going to save everyone like I decided 10 minutes ago. How did I forget? Wait a minute. I need to save everyone like I fucking said 10 minutes ago. And I'll like drive that point home 4 times across like 5 minutes. It's like, Jesus Christ, we get it. It's just, it gets frustrating sometimes. And he's constantly getting his ass beat. He's one of those protagonists that's just like this giant fucking punching bag. Just this massive pile of meat that everyone takes turns punching like they're training like Rocky at the butcher shop. So he's just constantly just getting his ass pounded. And he never gets any better. And he's constantly crying about it. Like, you would think after the millionth time you've got your ass beat, you would at least try and learn how to fight. But he doesn't bother. He's like, I want to be strong, but I don't want to put in any of the work either. So he's never like training to be a good fighter. He's like, if only I was stronger to help people, if only I could fight and protect people. And it's like, bro, you're a fucking time traveler. You could absolutely just make like a little extra time to train a little bit, like fucking kick a tree or something, like a Muay Thai fighter, like, you know, strengthen your bones or something. He's been punched in the face so many times, his entire fucking face must be like a giant callus made out of scar tissue by this point. His face is probably stronger than steel. Like, at least try and learn how to throw a punch back so you can capitalize on your damn near invulnerability that you've developed, like Colossus from the X-Men. Like, it's frustrating because I do think he's a good character, but oftentimes it just gets tiresome to keep listening to him cry and repeat like the same goal that he has explained a million times by now. And for some reason, it's like he keeps forgetting. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a girl he wants to protect, and then sometimes he'll totally forget it, and he'll have like this fucking revelation, like this giant euphoric moment of Eureka, wait, there's a girl I need to protect, which is why I'm doing all of this, I totally forgot. And then he'll like re-explain that he needs to save this girl. It's like, fuck, you know, like, how dumb is this guy? And then he starts crying about that too, and then he gets his ass beat. Like, it's just sometimes the character gets frustrating. Again, I think Takemichi's a good character, and you sympathize with the character pretty much the entire show. You're rooting for him the whole time, but my god, it definitely gets a bit annoying to see and hear him cry and whine for the millionth time and re-explain what he wants to do. Another complaint that I have about the show, it's not like a big complaint or anything. In regards to its action, I do think like it's done pretty well, but sometimes it's very clear that they didn't have the budget to animate like a full fight scene, so it'll just be like, here's a clip of a character standing here and a clip of a character standing here. And then here's a picture of a punch that we just assume was thrown. It's just still images for some of their fights at points, which is disappointing. And then sometimes it'll just be sound effects of a fight while you're looking at something else because, again, it looks like they didn't have the budget to actually show you the fight. So that's a bit frustrating, but since the focal point isn't on the action is there as mainly like a plot tool, it's not the biggest deal. It's just I would have liked to see it. Like, if this had a higher budget, I bet the fights could have been even better. Like, they're not bad by any means. Like, especially like the final giant gang fight, I think that's done very well. Especially highlighting Mikey's ability to be like this incredible badass. They hype him up this entire show, and you finally get to see just how badass he is, and it hits. Like, it really does. But you'll absolutely notice times where it feels like they weren't able to animate it to the extent they wanted to for their fights. Now, there's one other thing I want to focus on before giving this the score on the Moist Meter. It's the villain. The main villain of the show, I think, is really strong. The villain here, I think, is really fucking cool. The entire show, they hype him up to be this absolutely ruthless, evil, awful person, but they never really make him a one-dimensional character who is only cartoonishly evil. And by the end of the season, you're left wondering, you know, what is actually making them this awful? Why are they evil and doing these things? They hint at possible motives throughout the season, and by the end of it, you get really curious to see how they expand the character, and you see a different side of them, perhaps. I get really interested to see where they take that character, because I'm really drawn into the story now, so I'm excited for season 2, hopefully. Plugging Tokyo Revengers into the Moist Meter, I'm going to give it an 85%. I think it's a very good show. I think it's a very strong show, especially if you care about characters and world building. I think it does it really well. I think Tokyo Revengers accomplishes in 24 episodes what some shows fail to do in 5 seasons. They give you a cast of characters and make you care about them and get interested in them. So I think it's a great show, and I'd recommend it. That's about it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
The first season of One Punch Man is an absolute fucking masterpiece in every department. The characters are well written, the comedy lands, the animation is beyond beautiful. Every fight scene in the first season of One Punch Man is truly outstanding, thanks to a lot of the freelancers that really worked on it and put a lot of passion and soul into it, leading to this incredible and very unique, very rare season of anime. Everything about the first season of One Punch Man is beautiful perfection. And for the respect out of the first season, I'm going to be dividing this moist meter in two parts. Season 1 and Season 2. Season 2 just finished. I didn't even fucking know it ended because the last episode wasn't a great send-off. And the whole season was just an unbelievable downgrade in every conceivable department that it leaves a bitter taste in my butthole. The crazy thing about One Punch Man is the characters are so well written and the universe is so lively and fun that even though Season 2 was significantly worse than the first season in every way, it was still a good season. It was still enjoyable, which is fucking remarkable. So the difference between Season 1 and 2 comes down entirely to the studio that handled it. Season 1 had a whole bunch of freelancers work on it. They had a whole lot of new talent come in that really put their all into it to lead to such an extraordinary season. Season 2 was handed off to the fast food chain of anime called JC Staff. They do really suboptimal work, literally no passion. It's barely better than YouTube animators, and that's kind of why it's so bad. It's because the animation, if you can even call it that, half of the fucking season is just still images with a shaky cam. I swear to God, the first 2 episodes don't even have anything moving. It's just the camera with some fucking art they found on DeviantArt, fan art. It's fucking embarrassing, and it's really upsetting that Season 2 turned out the way it did. But before I get into everything wrong with Season 2, I want to talk about why you should watch Season 1 if you haven't already. Even if you fucking hate cartoons, animation, or even fun in general, you will still probably like the first season of One Punch Man. Even from a conceptual level, I think it is extraordinary. One Punch Man is about a man who is so incredibly powerful, the most powerful being that you could ever imagine in any form of media, and about his struggle to... Just everything about Season 1 is an absolute joy to watch, and I can't recommend the first season of One Punch Man enough. And then you transition to Season 2, and it makes you just want to puke. It's fucking disgusting how dirty they did the show. There is a clear lack of effort here. It looks like the entire studio just quickly did their homework to turn it in before class so the teacher didn't give them a bad grade, but they still got a bad grade because the homework was shit work. It's just a very clear disregard for quality. They didn't want to follow in the footsteps of the first season. They were never going to live up to the first season because of how much went into that, but they didn't even try to come close. It seems like they just went through the motion. They'd fall asleep behind the wheel and just get it done barely. It's just bad. It's really not good. Even if you're not going in there trying to nitpick, taking notes like a turbo virgin anime critiquer or something, you're going to notice how noticeably bad it is in comparison to the first season. Had the first season not been as good as it was, this would have been a lot more palatable. I don't think as many people would have cared, but they clearly showed what they could do with One Punch Man and where it could go, and then they come in here and turn it into a fucking PowerPoint presentation with almost nothing put behind it. There's also this over-reliance on CGI in Season 2, which wasn't there in the first season, and I don't think CGI in anime is all that bad. I think it can be used really well, such as in Demon Slayer. There's another modern example. But in here, the CGI looks straight out of a PlayStation 1 cutscene. They use CGI to save on cost, and it shows. It actually looks like origami strapped onto some of the characters with a lot of lights put on it. It's really dumb. They've completely redesigned some of the characters' looks. Genos looks fucking awful. Genos looks like an action figure I would have pulled out of a Happy Meal in the late 90s. It's just really dumb. It's upsetting. Because I loved the first season so much, and Season 2 has a much better storyline. I think Season 2's story, even in its shit form with JC Staff, is still better than the first season's story. I like Garo. I really like all of the new characters they introduced and everything going on, the Villain Association. All of it is really good, but JC Staff couldn't even bother to animate half this shit. In the first 2 episodes, you can immediately recognize a clear difference in the first and second season. The fights in the first 2 episodes alone in this season were actually just still images, as if a kid was holding up two pieces of paper with characters' faces on them and colliding them together. That's about the extent of the animation you got from the first couple of fights. And the CGI, and I hope JC Staff doesn't get many more projects. They have totally lost me as someone that would support their animation studio. They're not even fucking animators. They're basically deviant artists that sometimes accidentally make things move minimally. If JC Staff's name is on something, I'm just going to immediately assume the animation's going to be shit from now on, because this just left such a bad taste in my mouth. Plugging this shit into the moist meter, I'm giving 2 scores. The first season of One Punch Man is a 95%. I genuinely think that's a show that anyone, any age, and any taste can enjoy. There's something there for everyone, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Season 2, I'm giving an 80% to, and it's only because it is carried so incredibly hard by a fucking impressive story, cast of characters, writing. And also another complaint, the sound in Season 2, they basically just loop the same goddamn sounds over and over again, the same songs over and over again. So I hope you really like the soundtrack, because you're going to hear it a million times if you suffer through Season 2. In fact, bringing that into the equation, I'm lowering that shit. I'm bringing it down to a 70%, because now I just remembered how often they use it. I'm almost fucking blocked it out of my mind, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's genuinely anytime anything's on screen, you're hearing the same 4 songs repeated ad nauseum. So 70% for Season 2, 95% for Season 1. The show is still great, and I do think it's worth watching, but man, I hope whenever Season 3 comes out, if the world isn't up in flames by then, I hope it's to a good studio that makes it with actual passion and quality again. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
The new Dragon Ball Super Broly movie just dropped in America. Let's plug that bitch into the moist meter. So, Dragon Ball is a series I grew up with. I fucking loved it. I was watching it before I had any hair on my nutsack or in my asshole. Now I'm fucking covered in it. But while I was watching this movie, it made me feel like there was no hair down there again. It made me feel like a kid on the edge of my fucking seat. Come on, big muscle man. Punch him in his big muscly abs. And then rip at his nipples and really milk those milky milk tank pecs of his. Really get after it. Power up and scream. It was so fucking fun. I'll go ahead and admit I'm not kept up with Dragon Ball Super. I gave it a try when it first came out, but I didn't enjoy it, so I dropped it. But I'll probably start watching it now because this shit was so good. So I'm not familiar with the modern Dragon Ball lore, and I still really fucking enjoyed this movie. I saw all of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and all of Dragon Ball GT for however useless that shit was. And I still really fucking love this movie. I loved the original Broly movies, and I like what they did with this one. They completely changed his origin. Well, not completely, but they retconned most of his origin, which is a good thing, because his origin previously was really fucking goofy. Like, he was just damaged because Goku cried a lot when he was a baby, so then the crying really makes him sad and mad at the same time. It was a fucking weird, goofy origin, so I like what they did here. They made Broly a super interesting character instead of this weird sociopathic madman who just really gets mad about Goku crying. So I like that. They made the character really cool. He was always cool, but they made him like an actual interesting, cool character, not just like a two-dimensional ab machine. I also like every other character in this movie, too. I really was surprised by how much I enjoyed the shit that wasn't fighting. I went into this thinking only the fighting would be fun, but really everything was good. Even like the little wholesome moments between the characters, the way they got along and the little jokes they'd crack. It was all just wholesome and enjoyable. And the fights were fucking spectacular. Some of the best I've seen in anime, actually. I don't know if Dragon Ball Super, the show, has this level of quality, but if it does, holy shit. The fights were absolutely spectacular to watch. And the second you thought the fight was winding down, there'd be like just some filler dialogue like, I have big muscles, you have big muscles, and I'm going to scream about it, and we're going to sit here for 2 minutes and just talk. It didn't happen. There'd be maybe like a quick exchange of a sentence or two, and then bang, right back to jerking dicks into assholes. It was fucking wild. It's incredible how they just kept ramping up the action, but it was so goofily fun. I couldn't help but notice it. Eventually, the fight between Goku, Vegeta, and Broly took place on ice, and then all of a sudden, all of the ice gets destroyed, and it takes place in the core, and the core is getting fucking destroyed. Then all of a sudden, it's taking place in like this alternate dimensional multiverse space-time continuum tear, and then that fucking explodes. So Doc Brown and Marty get fucked. It was weird. Like, it kept changing, but from one location. Like, they were so powerful, they were literally changing reality around themselves. Like, fuck the Infinity Stones. They were literally punching reality out of existence. It was wild. It was so beautiful to watch. And one thing I always talk about with anime that I always fucking hate, but all anime does it, is CGI. And this movie's, it's not, innocent in that regard. There's CGI in here, and there's quite a bit of it during the fights. I understand why, because the fight is like fucking 40 minutes of pure high-octane testosterone going on. But you can't help but notice when that CGI comes on screen. It's really not as bad as I expected. It's not nearly as bad as every other anime that uses CGI, like a Goblin Slayer or Overlord or anything like that. It's pretty decently done, and some of it is even kind of hard to notice, which is admirable. I just really fucking hate CGI, and I have to pay compliments that at least when they used it, it wasn't that bad. So that's good. Another complaint that I have is, in Dragon Ball, one thing it's famous for is them saying the attacks like, Gallic Gun, Kamehameha, big Cum Blast move, almighty Omega Lord. That doesn't happen. So now when one of them uses a Gallic Gun, for example, Vegeta uses the Gallic Gun, he doesn't say it. For some reason, there's like this ethereal voice that says Gallic Gun. It's like part of the soundtrack, as if like one of the musicians, while shredding on the guitar and like double bass pedaling his drums, just says Gallic Gun. It was dumb. I really didn't fucking like that at all. It felt weird. It felt super out of place. I don't know why you wouldn't have the characters do what you expect them to do, because they've done it for 20 fucking years. I don't know why they changed that here. I don't know if it's like that in the show, but in the movie, I didn't like that at all. That made me very sad, because I was looking forward to, a grand Kamehameha from Goku. That shit is iconic. But instead, you get the name being said by the leader of the marching band in the background. So it's a nitpick. It's a complaint. But it's not a big deal, especially when everything else around the movie and the fight was good. It's just something that you'll immediately take notice of and be like, well, that's kind of fucking sad. But otherwise, this movie is just going to be purely pumping blood to your penis while watching, especially if you're a fan of the show. Let's go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Dragon Ball Super Broly an 85%. It is a great action animation. I wouldn't go in there expecting some kind of tale that's going to be a profound statement or going to be like a really thought-provoking piece. It's Dragon Ball. You don't get that shit. You get muscles, explosions, and testosterone. And you get that in excess here. It's fucking great, and I really enjoyed it start to finish. I think if you like Dragon Ball, I think absolutely you're going to love this one. But even if you're not a fan of this series, I do think there still is a lot to like here if you can appreciate good old-fashioned animation. So yeah, that's it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Holy shit. The Demon Slayer movie absolutely slaps. I had high expectations of this movie going into it, and they were exceeded. Let's just get right into it. So first of all, as you would expect, the movie is absolutely beautiful, just truly stunning animation. The first 25 seconds of the intro, I thought I went into the wrong theater because it looked like it was live action. The shit was gorgeous. Every single scene is a masterpiece. It is so good, and I really think seeing it in a theater really helped the experience, because there's so much hype in this movie. This movie puts the throttle to the fucking floor and never lets up. This thing turns the bidet on full power and just blasts your asshole off with hype. It is extremely exciting at every point in the movie. Once you hit the second half, it never slows down for even a second, and it is such a gorgeous journey. Every fight, every single movement of the character, every attack is beautiful. I love the way they play with color in the movie. I can't even explain it. It's just so wonderful to look at. Just an orgasm for the eyes to process. It's so much passion clearly put into the animation here to make it look like this that I'm so happy to see be appreciated by so many. Because this is on another level. This shit is absolutely next level animation. I fucking love it. There is CG. There is CG. Right there, that's going to turn people off, I know, but I think the CG's used just fine. It's not glaring or fucking terrible. There is a bit of jank to it occasionally, but it's not like it's that big of a deal. It doesn't take you out of it or ruin the experience, especially when everything is as good as it is in this film. It's not anything that should be taking a gold star off of its report card because there's CG in the movie. It's not that big of a deal, and I already know people are going to make a big deal out of it when they see it. It's fucking fine. Just accept it. Stop looking for things to get angry about on Twitter. It's good. It's fucking beautiful. I can't praise the animation enough. Demon Slayer always gets credit for how beautiful it is, and for good reason, because it is truly incredible. And this movie amps it up to the next level. It is so good visually. So now let's get into the story. So this is an actual canon movie. My big complaint about anime movies and why I typically don't even bother seeing them is because they have no effect on the actual anime at all. It has absolutely no effect on the lore or the universe or anything for the most part. Like the My Hero movies have so little to do with the actual show. It's just so separated that it feels meaningless. It's just empty calories. Yeah, they're cool to look at, but what's the point when it doesn't really have much of an impact at all? This is extremely important. Everything that happens in this, it picks up right where the season ended off, and it continues the story, and then it gets you to the next point where it's clearly going to pick up on the next season. All of it is very important, canon, a very meaningful journey that has a lot of weight to it with a lot of important shit that happens, and I think that's extremely good. Because then it doesn't feel like you went on this journey that'll never be talked about or referenced or have any impact on the show. You got to go through this beautiful adventure and get to see where it all leads into the next season. It's great. So the story covers like a small arc in the manga, and I think this was the right call. I am so glad they decided to just condense that arc of the train into a movie instead of just making it like 5 or 6, 7 episodes in a season. I much prefer this because I think it worked really well. Yes, there wasn't a whole ton of time that you could devote to building up the Rengoku character, but I think they did an incredible job with the amount of time they had. By the end of the film, you fucking loved Rengoku, and you got to see a Hashira going all out. So I think they did the right thing here by taking that and turning it into probably one of the most hype anime movies I've ever seen. It was so enjoyable. So I don't think it was a bad call. I know some people said they'd prefer if they had just made it like in a season, made episodes for it to build it more, but I think this was much better. It allowed it to be much more fast-paced, and it still made you care for the characters and got you to where they wanted you to be in the story. Now, there's one thing I'd like to point out. This movie is super cheesy. Like, they have some real generic anime shit for its dialogue. And now, Demon Slayer is an unapologetically shonen series. It never really strives to be something like deeper or more like, outside of the shonen realm. So it's not like a big complaint for me or anything. But I mean, this dialed that shit up to like a fucking level 100 here. The raid boss of generic shonen dialogue. Like, when the villain is talking, he's like, I am a cartoonishly evil villain who likes to eat humans. I love the taste of humans because I am just evil demon. Oh, how could an evil demon not win when I'm so evil and you're just good for the sake of being good, you do-gooder? And your friend who is a powerful man is also a do-gooder against me, evil guy. Like, it's this crazy cartoonish villain dialogue that you'd hear like in 1960s superhero cartoons. It's very like, ooh, it makes you kind of cringe a little bit, but it's still fine in the context of the movie. But I can tell you, especially getting towards like getting into the second half, the latter half of it, it gets real on the nose with its dialogue. Like, friendship is power and evil is evil, that kind of shit. So that gets a little grating sometimes. One of my main complaints about Demon Slayer, like the actual show outside of the movie, was I feel like when the character has a trait, like a unique trait about them, they just overdo it and beat the fuck out of it. Like, one of the Hashira's trait will be that they're always distracted, so every time they're on screen, it's, oh, I'm distracted. Shit like that, where they just hammer home one thing about them, and that's all the character is. In the movie, they don't do that. Like, Zenitsu in the show, every time he was on screen, he was crying or whining about something. In the movie, he does still do that, but since it's shorter, they don't just focus on that character trait of him. Now, don't get me wrong, he's fucking slobbering and crying a lot in the film, but it's, like, justified here. It's not just like, oh, Zenitsu's crying again, just classic Zenitsu. Here, he does a lot more than that. He goes into his badass state, he has some really good moments, and he's, like, a good comic relief character in the movie as well. So I don't really have any complaints about any of that. Really, if you're interested in even considering seeing Demon Slayer, you've already watched the show. You know what to expect. And I can tell you for sure you will not be let down. So pop it into the moist meter, no surprise, 95%. A lot of the anime I've been rating recently has obviously been super high, and I really think it's because the anime has just been super fucking good. Like, I know a lot of people pointed out, like, I'm really generous with anime reviews, but it's just because it's really, really good currently. A lot of these shows are just fucking beautiful, really impressive works of art, and Demon Slayer is absolutely no exception. They went all out here, and it paid off. It's a wonderful film. It's really good. I really, really enjoyed it. Plus, when it comes to anime, if I don't like it, I just drop it, so I never end up moist metering anime I don't like in some way, which is why I haven't really had one that I've rated fucking lower than like a 60. I just wanted to get that out there since this is another anime review, which is a fucking high mark. I just don't have any complaints about it. There's easy things you can pick apart, because like I said, it's very unapologetically shonen, but you already know that going into the movie. It's Demon Slayer, and then it's a Demon Slayer movie. You know what to expect, and they deliver in a big, big way. It's incredible hype, it's incredible fun, so if you like Demon Slayer, you're gonna really enjoy the movie. That's about it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Demon Slayer Season 2. And god damn, by the end of this season, the hype was so unbelievably high, I had to control my own breathing to stop myself from coming in my pants so much. I was the embodiment of the ejaculation Hashira. It was crazy. The animation here was on a totally different level than pretty much all other anime. And I didn't think they could really top Season 1 in terms of visuals and like how smooth and incredible that was. But Season 2 did it, I would even say, better. Like the second to last episode, right before the finale, was some of the most incredible animation I've ever seen. Like, just straight up in any show. It was fucking unreal. The budget for this, I can't even imagine. It has to be astronomical. I don't know who's funding this, but Ufotable must have unlimited deep pockets, like Tommy Wiseau. You know, like, where is it all coming from? The mystery of where they're getting the money to make this kind of high-quality animation is absolutely astounding. The entire season was incredible, though. Like, I will say, it got off to a bit of a rocky start in my eyes because the first 7 episodes are dedicated to just breaking up the Mugen Train movie into 7 episodes. Except for the first episode, that one was fresh, but after that it was just the Mugen Train broken up into episodes, which, again, I knew it was coming, but still didn't really like that much. But they did announce it beforehand, so it didn't ruin the show for me. Christmas wasn't canceled. The Grinch didn't come in here and wipe his ass with Demon Slayer or anything. But I will say, since Demon Slayer is 18 episodes and 7 of them are dedicated to content we've already seen in the movie, it was a little underwhelming. But those 11 episodes of the Entertainment District arc are fantastic. It'll put some hair on your chest. Like, the last 5 or 6 episodes of the season are almost non-stop action, full throttle, nuts to butts, never stopping. And it is beautiful. Just when you think they're reaching this crescendo, the climax, it just keeps going and keeps ramping up. And it's so good. Even my least favorite character in the show, Zenitsu, had moments here where he was really badass and did some cool shit. And not only when he was asleep. So Zenitsu, when he's awake, is just a whining, bumbling imbecile and just constantly screaming and yelling. And to me, it's super grating because it's all he really does. But when he's asleep, that's when he enters like the goddamn avatar state of ass beating. And it's great. But every time he's awake, it's just, I don't really like him as a character. But this season, when he was awake, he did more than just snivel, cry, shit his diaper, whatever. He actually participated and was able to actually contribute meaningfully and have moments where he was badass when not asleep. So that was good to see. Hopefully he'll continue to grow as a character because I think he is a very cool character. Or at least half of him is. It's a full-blown Jekyll and Hyde thing where when he's asleep, I think he's a cool character because he does cool shit, he says cool shit. But when he's awake, man, I can't fucking stand the guy. Inosuke also has a lot of moments to shine here. Inosuke does a lot of cool shit, very important character, and just really fun. Tanjiro, of course, goes into the absolute overdrive turbo mode and unlocks some new power and gets crazy strong. Nezuko as well. Every character here gets stronger and cooler. And of course we get a new Hashira to follow, Tengen, who had big shoes to fill after Rengoku, and I think he does a fantastic job. I think he's a really cool character. We get a lot of good background on him, and he is just such a fucking machine when it comes to his fight against the main villains here, which I'm not gonna spoil. And it's just really fucking fun. He's a good character. I will say though, across the board, I don't think this season has a lot of character development past their power levels. I don't think the characters themselves develop that much, nor their relationship all that much. Things kind of, by the time the season ends, they're kind of the exact same people they were coming into it. Maybe a little bit closer, and we as the viewers get more details on some of the background, but other than that, I don't think the characters themselves reach some kind of new level of enlightenment or development, apart from being able to really beat more ass more efficiently. I mean, it's Demon Slayer. Just like in Season 1, it's a super simple plot, and there's nothing wrong with that. The narrative is simple on purpose. It's unapologetically shonen. Pretty standard stuff. So most people aren't watching Demon Slayer to be drawn into the lore and the storytelling of it, because it's all very simple, and I think that works to its benefit. Most people are here for a really light, fun, over-the-top, beautiful action show, and that's exactly what Season 2 continues to deliver, and I think even delivers better than Season 1 at certain points. So I was super pleased with it. Yes, the characters aren't getting a ton of depth or anything like that, but now they're able to really put their ass in someone's asshole. They can go absolutely nuts with all of their newfound powers and abilities that are just amplifying the intensity of the show to new levels, and I really appreciated it. So plugging Demon Slayer Season 2 in the Moist Meter, I'm going to give it again a 95%. I think it kept the momentum from the first season, built upon it, and made it even better. So I had a lot of fun, and I'm sure if you already like Season 1, you'll have a lot of fun with this one as well. That's about it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're looking at the Castlevania Netflix series, which is a series that had no right being as good as it turned out to be. This shit had all of the makings of a greedy cash grab, a soulless, passionless project. For example, like taking Avatar The Last Airbender and making it live action, just taking the biggest, fattest, stinkiest diarrhea shit all over the legacy of it. That's what this sounded like. It was quietly announced in 2017. No one really had many expectations going into it, and Season 1 turned out to be fucking great. And Season 2 just released, and I think it's equally as good, but it has a lot more problems. The first of which being the number of episodes. Season 1 has 4 episodes, but it felt huge. It felt like a lot went into them. Season 2 has 8 episodes, and some of the episodes feel entirely pointless and filled with just dialogue to pad for time. My guess is they had around the same budget for Season 2 as Season 1, but Netflix wanted 8 episodes instead of 4, so they had to stretch it out artificially. So you get some weird dialogue and some odd pacing, but that's not too big of an issue because everything else kind of makes up for it. Castlevania has a really compelling story and characters, an interesting plot. It takes Dracula, it takes the evil, and it humanizes it, and you can almost feel for them and the cause. And all of the characters are really interesting and well thought out characters, except for a couple who are just comically evil, like a bad vampire Viking who's just this naughty bad guy who likes to think about titties and fuck ass with his penis and kill things and drink blood. But other than that, all the characters, they're very interesting, well-rounded, and they have sad backstories, and the show gets really dark. The show gets really gritty and paints humanity in a very negative light. It's not a happy show, but sometimes they try and ham-fist happy jokes into it, which really just doesn't fit the overall tone. Like I said, I feel like it just pads for time with some stilted dialogue. But I like that it gets that dark and it gets super violent and gory. You'll have people's skin being melted off and being flayed alive, heads flying all over the place, gore galore. It's different. It reminds me of like the late 80s, early 90s wave of anime where everything was ultra violent. Everything was shockingly edgy, but in a good way. Like, you know, edgy has this connotation where it's always negative. Oh, it's edgy? Ooh, I'm going to stay away from that. But sometimes edginess can be super fucking fun to watch, and I think Castlevania, in this case, is good. It's good edginess, and I do think there is edginess for the sake of it, but it fits the show's tone well. and the animation in this show is second to none. This is by far the best American-made animation since The Last Airbender. I can't think of anything else that even comes close. It's so smooth, it's so fucking crisp, and it's lovely to look at, beautiful at times. But there is an issue I have, and it's during the fights. Sometimes it just gets really choppy, as if it's like a bad connection in an online FPS. It starts to like lag. So you'll have Belmont throwing a punch, and then it starts to like slow down as it's about to make impact, and then it makes impact, and then all of a sudden it jumps frames, and now the thing's flying across the room. Like, it feels like you were watching a PowerPoint presentation, but some of the slides in between were missing, so then you're just left to kind of fill in the details in your head. And it doesn't happen with every fight, but towards the end of the show, it starts to really show. It gets really choppy during some of the action, which is very odd, and I do think it just comes down to, well, they had to stretch it out for 8 episodes this time instead of 4, so they couldn't really focus too much on that and make it as smooth as it was in season 1. Also, another thing, during the fights, the sound is super off. You'll have someone getting hit with a sword, and it sounds like someone just shot a spitball at them. The sound just doesn't match up with the actions you're seeing. So you'll have a guy throwing a punch and getting hit, and it sounds like someone took a wiffle ball bat to a rock outside. It's just weird, and it's jarring, and you'll notice it for sure. But that's like my only big complaint. It's the only one that I can really think of. The show is super fucking good. I honestly can't stress enough how much I like the fight scenes in this show. They're so beautifully animated, one, except for when it gets choppy, and two, they're super different. They seem like super well choreographed. One of my big problems with like anime fights and cartoon fights is it's always kind of the same formulaic shit. Here's my big move, and then villain, here's my big move. Oh, we clashed. Here's a bigger move, here's a bigger move. We clashed again, but I have the biggest move. Oh, I've beaten the villain. And the fight lasts all of like 2 minutes, and in between there's always this talking, like they'll throw a move and then stop to talk and like have some idle chit chat about Tinder dates or some shit during the fight, or the power of friendship, and then they'll get back to it for another 10 seconds. Castlevania just gives you a fucking ton of action. Like, the fight at the end with Dracula is so great and so well choreographed. It's not just like the standard, here's a spell, let's talk. It's, let's just fucking pummel each other in cool ways, dodging moves, doing some cool fucking Wing Chun moves on them occasionally. It's fucking great. I love the fights in this show. Let's plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving the Castlevania series an 85%. I think if season 2 was less episodes, 4 or 5, like season 1, where it could be more focused, more smooth, I think it would have been even better. It could have got rid of all the filler and shit, but it's still a fantastic fucking show, even if you're not a fan of the Castlevania series. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Overlord is an anime that's been recommended to me so many times I expected it to be some type of divine show. Like, the fucking Jehovah's Witnesses kept banging on my door promoting Overlord to me. This show is so hyped up, I expected it to put inches on my penis and give me the winning lottery numbers. And after finishing all 3 seasons, I binged them. I can safely say it was good, but it's nothing super special or anything. Following the recent trend in anime where every anime has to take place inside of a video game, this show takes place inside of a video game, kind of. So there's a power player in a very popular dive MMO that is giving one last oorah before the game goes offline. They're shutting down the servers, and he decides to go back in and jerk off one final time because he spent so long on the game and he's so powerful, part of the best fucking guild. So as the servers shut down, he's still in, servers go off, and then he immediately gets transported to the real world variation of the game, and he becomes his character. So it's a little different than Sword Art Online, where the people are still in the real world, they're just stuck in a video game. Here he gets transported to an actual, real, unfamiliar world, but as his character, and his guild comes with him. And they're all real now too. It's not a unique story, but it's a fun one, and I think it's executed well. I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the story, but this show has so many fucking problems, the biggest being laughably bad CGI. The CGI in this show is so fucking bad it makes Jimmy Neutron look new and innovative in the 3D department. I mean, somehow the CGI in this show is worse than Beast Wars and Jimmy Neutron, both of which came out in the early 2000s. It's laughably bad, insufferably bad, and it's used so frequently. Every single fight and so many other scenes that aren't even fights are relying on CGI. I know why, because budget constraints, but man, it's jarring and bad. Anytime anime uses CGI, it's always a disaster, and this show uses it fucking frequently. And another thing that shows how low the budget for this must be is the fight scenes, because 9 times out of 10, if you're watching a fight scene, like in the middle of it, it'll pan out of the fight and just show you the moon or some fat guy's asshole off to the side or something. Anything to take you away from the action, which would cost money to animate. So it shows something else, and then you just hear the action. You hear swords clashing, blood spilling, cum flying, and then it'll pan back after the fight, and then you see the aftermath. Oh, it's fucking cool. Yeah, I guess I'll just use my imagination. It's silly. It's really bad. When there's a fight, you know you're only going to get like 3 seconds of the fight, and then you're just going to be looking at the sand or the grass, and then you'll get to see the aftermath. It's boring. It's really boring, and it's a shame because there's so much they could do with the fights in this, and sometimes there are fights that aren't panned away or CGI'd, and when that happens, it's nice, it's refreshing, it's cool. But that's super rare. 9 times out of 10, you're getting bad CGI with fucking claymation figures falling away, and then you're gonna get panned away action and you'll hear the fights. That's about it. But, I mean, that's a huge negative when the show is about this really fucking powerful guy with some really cool spells, powers, and subordinates rampaging and taking over the world. You've got to have some flashy shit go on, and that just does not happen in this show at all. But that's still a good show. It's fun to see how he goes about taking over certain places, how he plans to rule them, and also how far he's fallen from being a human. He truly has no humanity left in him. He has become his character, the Overlord. And it's nice, and I think all of the characters are pretty strong, save for a couple shitty ones. There's some shitties in here, but overall they're pretty fleshed out and fun to watch them scheme and interact and shit like that. Another huge shortcoming of this show is for some reason it has this incessant need to focus on the most boring aspects of the universe. For example, in season 2, like the first 5 episodes are about a lizard man tribe. Who gives a fuck about the lizard man tribe? They don't do anything interesting. It's just, hey, we're lizardmen. There's 5 different tribes of lizardmen. Well, let's unite the tribes of lizardmen. All right, let's go do that. All right, good shit, lizardmen. And it leads up to Ainz coming in and just saying, hey, I'm going to conquer the lizardmen. They're like, all right, you've conquered us. The lizardmen submit. Who wants to watch 5 episodes of this shit? Maybe like 2 episodes of the lizardmen assembling and trying to unite against Ainz and then failing. But stretching it out over like 5 episodes, man, it was tiresome to watch. What a fucking chore. And it's not just the Lizardman arc, if you want to call it that, more like the Lizardman fart, but season 3 had the same thing where it focused on some really trivial situations and characters you just didn't care about. It just seems like it was padding for episodes. I don't understand why they focused on those things instead of the actual fun shit, which is Ainz trying to get his name out there and take over. And also the other interesting characters in other portions of the world, but instead they focus on the boringest one. It's just missed the mark there. Big time. Those episodes were a goddamn schlog. So let's just go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Overlord a 65%. It's a show I would still recommend, especially for those fans of like the video game setting shit, because it's a lot of fun when Ainz is using these incredible spells and then it gets super anime cliche where his enemies are like, oh my god, that's 50th tier magic, thought only to be used by Jesus Christ himself. I cannot believe what I am seeing in front of my eyes right now. The power of friendship. It's failing us. It's fun. It's really fucking goofy fun. And when the fights are actually animated, not in CGI and not panned away, the fights are fucking cool. Just spells being cast at each other and then the occasional sword fights. It's nice to watch that shit go down. And then it's got like the standard video game shit, which is kind of cool to see come alive. Overall, it's a good show, but man, it has so many fucking shortcomings, and I think it could be so much better if its budget was a little higher, or if they knew what to really put in the episodes and focus on and not draw boring shit out. But I mean, yeah, it's a show I'd recommend. Just a lot of unrealized potential. So yeah. The Moist Meter is a proud partner of our comic book series Godslap and Plague Seeker. Both are available at badegg.co. Link in the description. I'm a huge fan of Demon Slayer. I think the anime is absolutely amazing. You can watch all my previous Moist Meters on seasons 1 and 2, as well as the Demon Slayer movie if you want to hear a 28-year-old man gush. I just think the show has been spectacular, and it's a series that's been most known for its animation. Just really set the bar on high-quality, breathtaking animation. Just amazing visuals during action sequences in particular. Watching a fight in Demon Slayer feels as good as having sex, but for your eyes. And now Season 3 of Demon Slayer just wrapped up, so it's moist meter time. And this is going to ruffle feathers, but honesty is the best policy. I think this is the weakest season of Demon Slayer. I really think that it was a big step down for the series, except for the final episode. I think the final episode was great, but overall, it just was pretty underwhelming from start to finish. Now, before you furiously type on the keyboard and just light that shit on fire with friction from how quickly and angrily you're typing, let me explain. My complaints are not going to be the same ones that you're seeing on Twitter. There's a lot of people on Twitter that have been whining and crying about the CGI. They are saying the animation in Season 3 was really weak and gross because there was so much CGI. I think that's a load of fish paste. That's a bunch of barnacles. I don't think the CGI was egregiously bad or anything. Yes, there is more of it in the season because two of the big bads have summons that are fully CGI. So the big bads of this season are Upper Rank 4 and Upper Rank 5 Demon. Upper Rank 5 Demon, one of his main moves is summoning CGI fish that waddle around and carry little blades with them. They're not even really blades, they're like tiny little can openers on their goofy little fins. And they're fully CGI, and I'm sure you've seen people meme on some of the scenes with them, because it is CGI and the characters have to fight that. And then the other demon, the Upper Rank 4, summons a fully CGI dragon. And a lot of viewers got very frustrated about that. But I don't think it was bad. Demon Slayer's always had a lot of CGI in it, but usually it's like certain attacks will have CGI used to help blend visually for sequences, or, you know, move characters around during a fight. This is probably the first time it's been like fully CGI like monsters they have to fight, at least that I can recall. So I guess that could be a bit jarring for spectators, but I don't think they did it poorly. Like, I don't overall think the animation in Season 3 was bad, like a lot of people are saying it is. I think that's a silly argument to make. It is still absolutely beautiful. The fights were still amazing. I think the weakest part of Season 3, what I really didn't like about it, is the two villains. Upper Rank 4 and Upper Rank 5, both of them, just weren't very interesting. They weren't fleshed out at all. They were also significantly weaker than last season's villain, Upper Rank 6. Upper Rank 6 felt like an extremely powerful demon. Like, how the fuck are the good guys supposed to overcome this? This thing is damn near unkillable. It's got everything. It's fucking cheating. But in here, the good guys were never really struggling. It never felt like there was ever real problems with fighting Upper Rank 4 and 5. Especially 5. 5 is such a throwaway joke of a villain, it's sickening. Upper Rank 5 is a demon that basically just teleports around in vases. Like, he's a vase collector, and he summons fish out of them. He can suck people into vases. He can use attacks through vases. But he fights the Mist Hashira. And the Mist Hashira is very strong, all of them are. But Upper Rank 5 just gets absolutely fucking manhandled. Like, the Mist Hashira comes in and goatsies him against his will. Absolutely fucking spreads Upper Rank 5, kills him in like a couple of blows. There was never any stakes there. And he was a goofy villain that didn't have a single shred of backstory given to him, so how the fuck are you supposed to care? And you were never, like, afraid of him. The only thing Upper Rank 5 did was he trapped the Mist Hashira in a bubble for, like, an episode. And he's like, you're gonna suffocate in that bubble, and you won't be able to breathe. Which is already some Weenie Hut Jr. shit. The Bubble Master? Okay, whatever. And then he just regains his memories. I won't spoil how he gets out or anything. But then he kills him in, like, 20 seconds. Like, he barely even breaks a sweat. Upper Rank 5's like, damn, you're not taking this seriously, are you? Well, you're about to have to start. And then he instantly dies. Like, it's just such a throwaway. And that was one of the big bads. But he wasn't the focal point. I understand that. Most of the focus was put on Upper Rank 4. Upper Rank 4 is the demon that Tanjiro, Ginya, and then the Love Hashira all fight together. As well as Nezuko, of course. She's always ready to throw hands with the demons here. And he's better, but still seems like such a drastic decline in power from Upper Rank 6 in last season. There is no point throughout the entire fight with Upper Rank 4 that I ever felt like, oh man, how are they going to beat him? This is getting real dicey. Holy shit, I've got the whole seat, but I'm only using the edge right now. This is intense. This is crazy. It was always like, wow, Upper Rank 4 is such a weak little pussy. In fact, I don't want to spoil too much about the season, but one of Upper Rank 4's characteristics is he is literally always running away and afraid. And he's also the size of Stuart Little. He's just like a little rat scurrying around in the forest, so half of the season is spent chasing him around. And he's just always crying and whining. It's literally them chasing Chucky Finster for half of the season. And that's upper rank 4. Now, of course, he does actually fight them in a unique way, but when they're engaging in these fights, I'll say this much because I think it's in the trailer. Upper rank 4 has different versions of himself that fight. The main version is the cowardly crying piss baby one. The other ones stand and fight, but each one only really has one attack. An attack that Tanjiro and Genya have no problem taking right on the chin every single time with no problem. It just really felt easy for them. Whereas last season, it took everything every character in the fucking cast had just to keep up with upper rank 6. They had to dig deep into their soul and go plus ultra 50 times and pull out 1,000 spirit bombs just to get close to killing upper rank 6. And that was the entire cast fighting there, basically. You had Tanjiro, Nezuko, the Hashira Tengen, Inosuke, Zenitsu, all of them having to go way past their limit in order just to fight the brother and sister combo, which was upper rank 6. That felt like, holy shit, this is a big villain. That's a very strong villain. Here, it was more of just a nuisance. Now, per usual, it is still a beautiful show to watch. That's not a complaint of mine. I still really think all of the action was done fantastic. Like, it was still superb to look at. But the villains were just so weak. Not only weak power-wise, but they also didn't really give them any kind of personality or any kind of development whatsoever. Upper rank 4, they do a little flashback montage towards the end to give him some level of depth, but it still falls very flat and it's super quick. They just kind of speed ran a lore exposition dump, so they vomit out some backstory on this guy right before the end of the show. And it's not like that redeemed it, or it's not like that gave a lot of depth to the character, but at least they tried. God damn it, they didn't even look at upper rank 5 to give any level of depth to. They make him look like such a bitch. Like, there's a scene where after he's trapped the Mist Hashira in the bubble, he's, so blown away by the focus on a swordsmith that's honing a blade. He's like, wow, he's so focused, he doesn't even realize I'm here. So then he starts slapping him with vase attacks. And he's barely doing damage to the swordsmith. So upper rank 5 is not even being registered as a threat by a swordsmith at the village, and is also not even doing any real damage to the guy who's honing the blade. Like, everything he does just seems so underwhelming and weak. All of his fish are fucking worthless. They struggled to even kill a child, or even, damage a child who doesn't even know how to fight back. Like, everything about that character was truly just worthless. But at least upper rank 5 led to development for the Mist Hashira, which I guess may have been the point. Though it seems like the Mist Hashira would have eventually regained his memories if he just sat and thought about it for a little while. I don't think he needed to be locked in a bubble for it, but regardless. The Mist Hashira does have development. I do like him. I do think he's a good character. I like his backstory. And narratively, I like a lot of what the Swordsmith Village arc offered. I do like a lot of what it introduced. Genya, I think, is a very interesting character that I'm really excited to see more from. The Love Hashira, she didn't really have a whole lot to do here, but she was still fun because she has this really cool, noodle blade. She has, some kind of noodle sword that she uses to fight against upper rank 4 with, which was really cool. And the Mist Hashira had a lot of time and attention given to him. So I did like a lot of it. I don't really have any main complaints narratively or anything. It's really just feeling underwhelmed at the end of the season because maybe we've just been spoiled for seasons 1 and 2, but this one, the two demons they fight here just did not seem up to par with all of the fights we've had up until this point. I still think everything Demon Slayer is known for is still done well here. It is still beautiful animation. It is still a very pretty show. It's still very fun. And one thing that I think this season does better than any of the other seasons is there's no Zenitsu here, so it's nice not to have to listen to Zenitsu crying all the time. But that crying role did get filled by upper rank 4. So I guess it's just a rule of thumb with Demon Slayer. There has to be constantly a character that is literally always crying, and this time it was upper rank 4. Now, if you've watched my other voice meters, you know I don't hate Zenitsu as a character. I just don't really like how the only thing he does really a lot of the time is just cry. He's very cool when he's asleep, though. Here he's not in the season, so that's not even something you have to concern yourself with if you're a big Zenitsu hater. But yeah, overall, I didn't hate the season or anything like that. I actually still think it was a very good season, but it is the weakest season so far of Demon Slayer, in my opinion. So, Plugging Demon Slayer Season 3 into the Moist Meter, I'm going to give it a nice 80%. I definitely, of course, still recommend it. I still had fun watching it, but I guess I just always expected the show to keep one-upping itself somehow, but that wasn't the case this time around. It wasn't in the cards. Still a very good season, still enjoyed it, and like I said, narratively, I really like where we're at, and I think that the next season and everything going forward is about to get fucking crazy. I think it's going to pop off, so I'm very excited for more. Huge thanks to ourselves for sponsoring this Moist Meter. Godslap is a comic series written by myself, Jackson, Matt, Danny, and Aubrey Sitterson. It follows the story of a character named Ace, who's an extremely powerful slapper in a world where slapping is king. Issue 3 just dropped, it's all available at badegg.co, and shit is starting to pop off. Ace is being hunted by a mysterious foe named Defister, who after swan diving through a hospital, picks up Ace's trail and hunts him to the ends of the earth with his sidekick, Olfactor. And also, our newest comic series, Plague Seeker, just came out. Issue 0 is available at badegg.co. It's written entirely by myself and edited by Jackson. It's set in a world 1,000 years after an apocalyptic event known as the Calamity. An asteroid hits Earth, and it brought with it mutations that changed all of its inhabitants. Now the world is infested with things called plagues, and atop the food chain sits 8 great plagues that control the entire world, and only one man stands against them, the Plague Seeker, who has an insatiable appetite to devour those 8 great plagues. So all of this is available at badegg.co, so please check it out. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Get out your waifu body pillows and fleshlights, because today we're going asshole deep into another anime. We're looking at Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer is a show that I thought got off to a fantastic fucking start. The first episode wasn't afraid to be edgy and dark, and it did it well. I thought it was a really good first episode that I hoped would set the tone for the whole season, but it didn't. The first episode is probably the best in the entire season. Everything else after that is just lackluster and just kind of boring and cliche. I wouldn't call this a generic anime though, because it breaks pretty much most traditional anime tropes. For example, instead of following like the big heroes in anime, you always get like the big-dicked warriors going up against the even bigger-dicked enemies, defying the odds and using the power of friendship and big anime titties to beat the bad guy in the end. In this show, you don't follow that. You follow some broken psychopath who's just obsessed with cleaning up goblins. He's just like the fucking janitor of this world, just doing the low-level tasks that everyone kind of spits on, and he is a very, very cool character. But what I'm saying is it doesn't follow those heroes. In the show, they just reference the heroes as side characters. Oh, the hero just defeated the super evil bad god lord, but now we gotta go kill some goblins. And I really like that. However, Goblin Slayer is the only good character in the show. Every other character is super forgettable and generic. For example, you have the Argonian-looking motherfucker, the Skyrim Argonian-looking guy, whose only deal, his only quirk, is that he likes cheese and food. There's the dwarf, who only knows one spell to shoot pebbles at a mildly fast pace. He's the world's worst earthbender. You have the elf archer, who, you know, she's that generic attitude girl. Independent, strong lady who can drink a lot of alcohol, doesn't need a man, but secretly blushes every time Goblin Slayer looks at her. It's a boring cast of characters surrounding a great character. Goblin Slayer himself is fantastic. The other ones, not so much. Now, the whole show is about Goblin Slayer and his party going on quests that no one else wants to do because it's just killing goblins. And, you know, that's cool from a conceptual level, but it's not that fun to watch play out. The first episode sets this tone where goblins are grisly, scary creatures that everyone underestimates, and then they get fucked by them, quite literally. And then after that, they kind of just become background enemies. Like, they're not terrifying anymore. They never do anything too spectacular until the end again. And it just becomes a vehicle for Goblin Slayer to develop. I understand that, but that doesn't make it super fun to watch. It is nice sometimes, though. Like, there are some scenes where the goblins are terrifying and they do some crazy shit, but it's never anything that matches the first episode or anything even close to that level. What I do appreciate, though, is Goblin Slayer isn't a great warrior. He just really understands goblins, knows how they think, and can outsmart them every single time with just better strategy. I fuck with that hard. I thought that was really cool. Instead of him just being this overpowered, muscular hunk of a monster, just fucking brutalizing goblins by squeezing their fucking eye sockets into oblivion, he just outsmarted everyone with good strategy, and that was cool. But still, the episodes aren't good, and they also rely heavily on CGI in the beginning. Thank God they stopped using so much CGI towards the end. I guess some hero at the office stood up and said, you know what? This is enough CGI for one anime. CGI in anime fucking sucks, guys. Let's put the brakes on this and actually just get rid of it for the rest of it. So about halfway through, it just stops using CGI, so thank God for that. Now, I've been kind of shitting on the middle episodes in between the first and last two, but they're not all bad. It serves to humanize Goblin Slayer. He starts to open up more and starts to learn to feel, because he's like a husk of a man, and through his quests with his party, he starts to learn to be human again. So it's nice to watch that character develop, but even still, the episodes just don't play out in a very good fashion. Just really not a lot happens, especially when the first episode sets the tone of, these goblins will fuck your shit up if you don't know what you're doing. They start to become bumbling fucking imbeciles again in between. And the strategies that Goblin Slayer employs aren't all that clever every time. Sometimes his strategy is, hey, shoot some rocks at this one and I'll shoot some fire. Well, you know, I could have fucking figured that one out. A 4-year-old with his Lincoln Logs could have probably devised that plan as well. Overall, though, the show's not bad. I did enjoy it, and I think the last 2 episodes are extremely wholesome with a really nice payoff. So let's just go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Goblin Slayer a 65%. It's a show that's probably worth watching, but don't expect the first episode's tone to carry over through the whole series, because it absolutely doesn't. It seems like it loses its way. I don't know what it's like in the manga, I don't read that shit. But here it really seems like it got almost afraid to be the same way it was in the first episode, which is a shame, because if it could have kept that tone up, it could have been something special. But anyway, not a bad show. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Today, the mega meaty man scientists found within moist meter laboratories go where no scientists have ever dared go before, and have taken the moist meter where no man, woman, nor beast thought possible. We're taking the moist meter to the incredible, wonderful world of big-tittied anime goth girlfriends anime. Today we're going to be looking at Steins Gate 0. I'm a huge fucking Steins Gate fan. I loved the anime, and I even played the game back when it was on the Xbox 360 arcade. I thought it was going to be like one of those hentai games where there's like a lot of vagina and ass and stuff. So I played the game with my dick in my hand, but by the time I finished the game, I had my heart in my hand. My dick in my heart. It was such a goddamn great game, and the anime was just as good. And I was super excited for Steins Gate 0, and I'm super happy to say Steins Gate 0 is fucking great too. I don't think it's better than Steins Gate, but I think it is very, very good still, on the same level. It earns the right to be called Steins Gate, with a 0 at the end of it. Now, this story takes place where Steins Gate kind of, right before it ended, where the timeline gets divided. Okabe, after failing to save everyone and reach Steins Gate, does not try again, and he throws in the towel. That's the timeline where this one takes place, the beta one. And it's a really dark timeline, and I know kind of saying that's a little bit of a spoiler for some people, but you can't watch Steins Gate 0 if you haven't seen Steins Gate. It's not worth it. You're not going to understand anything in Steins Gate 0 that happens because they don't explain shit. They expect you to know everything. They expect you to pass the test on Steins Gate lore at the end of the fucking show. You have to watch Steins Gate 0 having freshly watched Steins Gate and have like the goddamn Omnicron of Steins Gate lore open in front of you to piece together everything that happens in the first 10 episodes of the sequel here, which isn't really a sequel. But anyway, it takes place in a darker timeline, which is the beta one. And it really isn't afraid to get dark. There's a lot of stuff in here where it's very, it's sad. There's nothing overly dark. It's not like there's someone who snaps a dog's neck, drinks its blood, and then pees on an innocent old man or anything. There's nothing like shockingly dark or weird. But it just toys with some really dark themes, such as how many times can you fail and see something horrific before it breaks you and you give up? And just a lot of things, mainly circling around despair and throwing in the towel. And I like that they play with that. It's nothing new, but I think Steins Gate 0 does it really well, and it gives you nothing but likable characters. There's no characters in this show that I think aren't good, or at least well-rounded. I think they are all interesting, except for one. There's one professor. I don't want to spoil anything, but she's a very two-dimensional, flat fucking board of a character that is really only there to be like a caricature of a bad villain, like a James Bond or like even Austin Powers level villain type deal. So I thought she was kind of weak, but other than that, it's nothing but great characters across the board. And it's fucking great. I love the visuals in Steins Gate. I'm a huge fan of the whole theme of time traveling, and they play with it really well. Now let me talk about some of the cons, and there are quite a few that I'd like to talk about. The first 10 or so episodes are extremely convoluted. There's so many moving parts here and so much going on, and that you kind of expect it with time travel because everything gets messy there. But here it's overwhelmingly so. So much so where you're gonna go to a fucking whiteboard and start writing down notes and then connecting arrows and shit, and it just gets hard to follow and you get lost, which isn't really a positive. It all starts to piece itself together and wrap itself up for a really satisfying conclusion at the end, but getting there it's a fucking mind-boggling ride in not a very good way. Another thing that I want to point out is these people fucking love to party. In this show, they throw a party every 2 episodes. They party anytime one of them farts. They celebrate. There's a lot of fucking parties in here. I'm not talking frat parties. I'm talking like your mom and her friends' book club level parties where there's little hors d'oeuvres and shit. Very tame parties. Nothing wild. No one twirling bras over their heads and going wild and peeing on tables. But that's not a complaint. That's just something I thought I'd point out. The only main complaint I have is the convoluted storyline. And the only other complaint past that is the action is really... It's bad. Like, when there's an action scene with guns or fighting, it's laughable. It's like a YouTube animation. I don't know what happened there, but it doesn't seem like they had much of a budget to pull off action shots because it's clunky. There's a lot of shit wrong with the action, but it's not like this show's about blood, titties, and rock and roll. It's not that kind of anime, so it's not a whole lot of action here in the first place. But when it is here, it's just not good. But I just don't have a whole lot of complaints about this show. I really don't. I think it's a very fucking good anime, but it's something you should never watch unless you've seen Steins Gate recently, because you're going to need to brush up on your fucking information to keep up. It's worth it though. If you've seen Steins Gate, definitely got to see Steins Gate 0. It didn't disappoint. Not at all. Let's plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Steins Gate 0 a fat fucking 80% because it's fucking great. It is a really good show with some shortcomings, unfortunately, like I mentioned. I feel like they could have done better with laying out the plot in the beginning so it didn't confuse the shit out of anyone who watches it. But other than that, and the action, obviously, other than that, though, it's really good. It's a watertight, fun plot, and I love the way that they reintroduce characters, and then at the end, towards the end, they start to piece together everything that happens in Steins Gate, plus throughout Steins Gate 0. It's fucking great, and I can't recommend it enough if you've already seen Steins Gate. And if you haven't, definitely check that out, and then Steins Gate 0. It's fucking good. See ya.
Moist Meter was brought to you by Amazon Music. Sign up for free below using our referral code.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're looking at Vivy, Fluorite Eyes Song. This is an anime that was criminally underrated for like the first 4 episodes. I didn't even know this shit came out except for my Twitch chat constantly recommending it to me, and by constantly I mean like the same 5 or 6 people saying how good it was, which is surprising considering this is actually written in part by the mind behind ReZero, which is an extremely popular anime, and this is another project that they've taken on. So I would have thought there'd been a fucking ton of hype around it, but there really wasn't from what I saw in the beginning. Around the middle, though, then it really popped off. I saw a lot of people talking about it, which is great because this show is fantastic. The show is 13 episodes, and I can't imagine there'll ever be another one because it wraps itself up beautifully. And I really like that it is just a short, condensed story that just takes you on a beautiful journey. It's animated by Wit Studio, which was behind Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga, so they're an extremely talented studio, and this is just as visually incredible. This show is able to do in 13 episodes what some shows fail to do in 13 years. It really gets you emotionally invested in pretty much every character in the universe and really gets you attached to everything going on. It tells the story of an AI songstress tasked with the mission of saving humanity from a future where AIs kill everyone. She teams up with a machine from the future called Matsumoto, and the two begin their work on the Singularity Project to avoid that future. AIs are always given one mission and one mission only, and her mission was make everyone happy with her singing, but in addition to that, her main goal is using that mission to save humanity. kind of hard to explain without seeing the show, and I don't want to spoil anything, so that's really about as deep as I can get into that for the premise of the show, but it executes some really heavy themes really well. It tackles such human emotions in the context of AIs trying to understand them and as they evolve, even experiencing them. It also helps that the music is so good in this. I mean, as you can probably tell from the title of it, music plays a very big role in this universe, and I think they do a great job of really selling you on that. The songs fucking slap, and every time a song plays, it's like a full-blown AMV. You get like little butterflies in your ball sack, and you get like a really cool montage of sometimes action going on. Like, the show isn't filled with action, so don't go in here and expecting like Jujutsu Kaisen or anything like that. But when there is action, it's great, and it's really fucking full throttle shit. But don't expect a ton of it. But just know that when it is used, it's used well and executed wonderfully, and the music complements it because the soundtrack absolutely slaps. It's not anything corny or cheesy. Some of the lyrics will put a smile on your face because, you know, it's some very anime shit like, what does it mean to sing from the heart? This is what the heart is. It's time to talk about friends and heart. And that's some of the lyrics to some of the songs, but it doesn't matter because the song is great and it's really good in that context, considering that these are AIs. Emotions aren't necessarily like second nature to them, right? So I don't know. I think it really works. There's very few things to dislike about this show, but I don't think it's perfect either. There's times where, like, certain episodes, the thing that they're trying to accomplish seems counterintuitive to their overall goal of stopping the eradication of humanity. Like, sometimes I was wondering how what they were doing would have any impact on the future. Like, sometimes I thought it would just be the exact opposite, like they were fucking helping get AIs thrown in the dumpster, or have AIs throw humans in the dumpster and then shit on them. Like, sometimes the goals just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. By the end, it does, but as you're experiencing it, I found myself getting confused, and I think some other people will as well. Especially, without spoilers again, there's a character, I probably can't even talk about it because it is kind of a spoiler, but there is a character who the only way you even know what they're truly doing is by paying extremely close attention during, like, a couple sentences of exposition that gets dropped suddenly. If you've seen the show, you might know what I'm talking about, or I just sound like a raving fucking lunatic from Arkham Asylum, but there's definitely confusing moments. The show can get very convoluted and confusing if you're not paying extremely close attention to it. But other than that, I don't think there's much to dislike about it. So without being able to get too deep into it, I'll just go ahead and plug it into the moist meter now. I think Vivy is an easy 90%. I think this is another show that's right up there with some of the greats. This is a completely original one too, with the team up from the ReZero author as well as Chaos Child. I'm not familiar with Chaos Child, which is why I more highlighted the ReZero author. So I really think they've just done an incredible job with this. Wit Studio, apparently this was only done as like a side project for them, and they still absolutely crushed it. Their fucking bench players, their B team is still better than some of the best in the business. It's crazy how talented Wit Studios is. I think this is a great show, and I definitely recommend it. That's it. See ya.